Hi and welcome to another episode of the Getting Things Done podcast from Vital Learning. I am Morten Røvik and I am here as always with my good friend and colleague Lars Rotskil Henriksen. Pendriksen actually. Привет, Lars.
Привет, more, I don't know what that would be. But anyway, good to see you as always and good to be with our listeners out there. We always start off with a quick reminder to remind you of the purpose of this podcast, which is to help you learn GTD or become even better GTDers. So we hope that today's episode supports you in that. If you are new to GTD, we always recommend you go back and listen to episodes 1 through 6 to get an introduction to the basics of GTD, the 5 steps. And today's episode is number 88 of the podcast. And in today's episode, we wanted to talk a bit about GTD and AI.
Indeed, we did find that timely to do that, and we've done something we don't often do. I can't remember if we ever done that, to be 3 people on the podcast. So I would like to welcome our colleague from Estonia, Paul Vahur. Welcome, Paul.
Hi. Hi, everybody.
Hey, Paul.
Thank you, Lars. Thank you, Morten, having me here.
Yeah, you're most welcome. And Paul, for those of our listeners who don't know who you are, can you just give us a brief introduction of who you are and what you are doing? And you're us in Estonia, more or less, I guess.
Yes. I'm in Estonia. I'm from Estonia, so I'm a GTD trainer and soon to be coach. I've been teaching GTD for close to 3 years now in Estonia. I've been doing GTD for 11 years, so I have some experience with GTD, and I'm happy to kind of announce as well, maybe here, that I'm now part of the Vital Learning Network, and being Estonia is now part of the Nordics Plus region. So that's about me briefly.
Good. Well, good having you here, and welcome to the Nordic Plus regions.
Yeah. Woohoo.
Yeah.
And one more piece of background that you might want to for those of you that listen to this podcast and that knows Paul, you also know that he is a consultant in Microsoft, and you might want to do some disclaimers before we start, Paul.
Yeah, so my camera's unfocused for some reason. I don't know. Hey. So I'm working at the Microsoft Development Center Estonia. So this is the entity that where engineers work and build Microsoft software, and I work there as a learning and development consultant. So in that sense, I'm working inwards looking. So I'm not working with the clients, but I'm helping the engineers in Microsoft to be better learners and make them learning opportunities available to them.
And the reason we are, telling your role there is that because you are not talking as a representative of Microsoft. Just want to make that absolutely clear to people.
Yes.
Because absolutely. Microsoft has a big bone in this AI world, and So I don't know how we will attack this, but I was thinking when I prepared for the show that we will just take a step back and look at a little bit about for our listener which don't know what is AI and what does it stand for and what's the history here. So I will start with easy bit. It's artificial intelligence. That's AI. And now I'm sure Lars can tell us a little bit about the history.
I think you kind of took the easy one there, Morten.
I did.
No, what I thought would be a good lead-in, at least, was to just give a background on where this came from. And, last week, as of when we're recording this episode, I think, Paul, you shared something about AI on one of the internal boards that we use in the Google Suite to just discuss a bit about AI and GTD. And, looked through it, and I've been playing with it as well, like so many others with ChatGPT that came out. And I came across, I think, actually on Twitter. Not that I'm there very much lately, but I came across someone that I followed who recommended to go in there really and try the Bing search engine now with the AI that is available in there. And I thought, hey, why not give that a go and see how that one works? And I asked a bit about GTD, and I asked, so what are the 5 steps? And it walked through and it explained it to me in Danish. Didn't really nail all of the ways that we've translated it, but certainly understandable for those who are practicing GTD in Denmark. So they would certainly get it. And then I asked, okay, so how does it work with clarifying? And it walked through the different questions with me, and it actually helped me. So I figured, okay, so let's level up a bit. Let's give it something for me to clarify. So I told it to clarify budget. So I said, how do I actually clarify that? And it did. It really detailed the steps, asked if I saw this as a project or just a next action. I said, well, that's probably a project. So it suggested some next actions for me. And, it didn't nail it. It didn't explain what I had to do. But it came up with some pretty good ideas. And it's, really, really impressive at least impressive in the sense that I wasn't expecting it to do that well, just, feeding it a random thing from that might have been on my list. And then just responded really helpfully. So that was really the starting point, at least for me, in order for us to talk about it.
Yeah. I'm going to say something about my journey with ChatGPT, because it started quite a long time ago, or when it came out, more or less, so OpenAI. But Paul, what have you been dabbling with? Have you tried it out at all?
Not really that much. I've been reading a lot about it, so that's what usually I kind of do. I'll do a dive into the kind of the theory of the stuff, etc. So kind of seen a lot of examples of how people use it. So and it's kind of you can't keep track, like the ChatGPT 4 came out. What is it? 3, 4, 5 days ago. So and it's already probably taken over the world with us knowing it. So it's just if you're busy with other stuff, you can really catch up with those. So and probably once you get around, it's probably ChatGPT 5 is out, and you need to forget everything about ChatGPT 4. So it's kind of moving very, very fast, and that's kind of the decision you have to make, like when do you jump on the board of these things. Yeah.
And we are not going to dive into the different the different solutions others than just give you an overview of them. That's what has been my idea here. And but to try and relate that to getting things done, what does it actually mean? What could it mean in the future, and what are some of the things that we are seeing as dabbling with this a little. So for those of you who don't know what ChatGPT is, it's or AI as such. It's we talk about ChatGPT, and a lot of all of the AI models are working by the same context or same idea. You feed it some sentences or questions or something you would like it to do, and it will then try and understand what you want, and then word after word trying to tell you, or image after image or video after video, trying to enhance the output. And GPT is a generative pre-trained transformer, which is a fancy way of saying that it will take what you give it and try and generate something it thinks you want. And I've been dabbling with OpenAI for maybe 2.5 months now or something like that. I don't remember when I started this, quite some time ago. And that's ChatGPT that was in the version 3.5, and now suddenly it's 4, which is exponentially faster and better than 3.5. But that's the chat version where you can ask questions. I think it is more or less the same engine that is in Bard from Microsoft and Bing, and from the other question related, what we call that, systems or services. But we also have DALL-E and Midjourney. For DALL-E and Midjourney are two different sources for images. You can also do it by video. I haven't tried that, but you can generate. You can tell old man in the forest crying, leaning against a tree, and it will generate that photo. And then you can say in the style of Edvard Munch, for instance, and then it will try and generate what you asked it for. And results are as good as the input. That's what I found. So the more lengthy question or the lengthy prompt you give it, the better it becomes. And I have, as Lars, done some testing, and the results are not just unified. So I think we might want to ask ourselves the questions. If you look at getting things done related to this, how do you think this is going to change, Lars, the way that we relate to decision making? For instance, if you look at this as one of the things I've seen, Microsoft came with Office 365 Copilot. It was just announced just a couple of days ago, just before the weekend, where it is a way of helping you making decisions, help you create synopsis and of long text or email threads that you wanted to work at, and give you a summary. How do you see this? If you look at the Office 365, because that is a suite. It will be in Excel. It will be in PowerPoint. It will be in documents, Word. And how do you see that, Lars? How do you think it can help us?
I think that's for all of the integrations with Microsoft. Paul is probably the better one to respond. I think maybe I'll throw that one over to Paul instead.
Well, I guess it's what we usually do when we do knowledge work. We kind of generate text, right? Or at least that's the way we try to convey the kind of meaning or what we want to do. And then obviously some people are better than others in expressing in words what they do. So I guess this probably helps at least those people who are more struggling with the words. But also, I guess it's kind of helps you in kind of searching the information or putting the information together. So it's kind of it's not definitely, its main goal is not to be the search engine, and it has this challenge. I don't know how much the newer version of ChatGPT does what they call hallucinating, of kind of being really helpful and making up their own information. But at least if it stays within the known facts, then it's kind of really helpful if you don't need to go and search for something and what was it exactly, but the kind of the tool can help you there. So this is where I can see you doing, and then obviously it would be great. What I've been thinking about in the future, if it can be trained. So basically any kind of a AI tool, the current that we are talking about here, is trained on certain kind of existing information, right? So would be really cool if it will be trained on what you have written before. So it really sounds like you, right? So it's rather than sounds like Morten. it sounds like Paul writing. So that would be useful, helping you basically to kind of do something that would have taken you more time by yourself.
Yes, and I just want to make a comment on that, because that's part of the new system, the model that I saw that at the presentation of Office 365 Copilot, is that it will become you, or with your words. It will take whatever information you gave it and then sift it through. I think they call it LMS. I think that was the name they called it, where it's just a filter where it looks at every information it has about what you've done and what you're going to do and what information you've given it before, and then trying to return some intelligent answer then through the GPT filter, if you may. So it will learn, but it hasn't learned as of yet. And because I know, Lars, you set me onto this before, the Bing version, the iPhone version of Bing, where you can actually get early access to ChatGPT through that. And how accurate has it been for you?
Well, I have no complaints at all with the with the knowledge that I tested with a very, very small test. I sent you a screenshot as well, Morten. So we both talked about, okay, what happens if we actually enter our own names? And I don't think yours was very accurate, but mine came up with some pretty good information. And one of the things that, so it explained some things about me that mostly it grabbed from either my website or from LinkedIn or from a few other places. I think it referred to from YouTube as well. And so it asked, so how do you, why are you asking about Lars? And I said, well, I heard about his seminars. And it says, that's exciting. His seminars are very popular and recognized. So I have no complaints. I have no complaints about the data. It's very, very smart, I think.
It's not only trying to give you information, but also kiss your butt. So,
yes. Five stars for me.
Yeah, 5 stars. Yeah, well, I did the same like you did, and then I asked him who is Morten Røvik, and it came up with I'm master trainer, executive advisor, and but he says also I have written several books, and that kind of like threw me off because that's something I want to do, but I'm not done yet. So kind of like, whoa, but. Apparently, then Bing thinks that I've co-authored the 3 books of David Allen,
nice.
Which is kind of like I didn't want to correct Bing for that, but of course, but I did, and I said, I'm sorry, but you are wrong because I did not. He did not co-author this with David Allen. No, you're. It's like, yeah, you're correct. He didn't, but he translated it. No, he did not. I have been on the a consultant when it comes to translation for the book, but I did not translate it. But it is, and then I asked, will you remember this for later for someone else? And no. I will not. So you will have the same faulty information, and I'm sure this will help be better after after a while, hopefully. But right now, it feels like it can become a lot better. At least that's how I feel about it. But let's then okay. So now we tried a little. We dabbled with it, and I have. Some of the things that I think it could be helpful. For instance, something I find a little difficult is to try and come up with ideas for writing. So I've asked for some suggestions based on getting things done. What could I write about? And then it gives some headlines. Yeah, that's interesting, and etc. So that I think is good. But if you look at the future, how would it affect a knowledge worker's everyday life? And this is an open discussion now. So Lars, what do you think?
Well, at least for me, I was thinking thinking through GTD and where it might make sense today or sometime in the future, at least, when I just played around with it now for clarifying, I can imagine for people that are really, in a highly associative mode, struggling to come up with ideas, how do I break this down? How do I move this thing forward? Just those few ideas that I got on budget were, again, pretty solid. It might be that you have very specific tasks and it wouldn't come up with any good ideas, but I think those are things that overall in the future will get better. So ideas for clarifying might be one place where AI can help. One other thing that I thought about was, let's say you're doing the natural planning model and you've defined a really cool vision, or you have a few lines describing a vision. What might happen if you fed those lines to AI? I imagine in some cases it'll come up with better ideas than me, or things that I did not think of, or approaches that we might take, or let's say you even introduced we have that series of questions that you might make use of when you go through the natural planning model. Is there any sort of politics involved, or would there be a good PR angle to this, or those kinds of things? I'm sure ChatGPT or any other AI could be really helpful in that sense. So that's one place where I would want to play around with it some more to see how that might work. One other thing, like you said, engaging, in the sense of maybe doing some of the tasks, helping you elaborate, get started on some of those writing tasks, for example. Surely that'll be helpful as well. And the one last thing that I thought of was, the higher horizons part. I'm wondering how it might work with that. And can you feed it something about a vision that you have, that you want to do something specific, and it'll come up with ideas for that might turn into goals or projects or even next actions, for example. I'm not sure that it will give you specific answers, but if you have some kind of starting point, I would be tempted to at least, throw some ideas at it and see what it comes up with, because based on just the very limited testing that I did, pretty interesting things that showed up. So those were at least just a few things, a handful of things that I came up with just now to, how might it be helpful?
Paul, do you have something you would like to add to that? Some thoughts
that
occurred to you?
Yeah, I've been thinking probably where it might help, especially maybe, of newer GTDers or somebody who's getting started with GTD, might be of better defining or better writing down what the next action is, right? So, I mean, what we as coaches and trainers advise people to do is write down like very specific, like, so it's not like, a mom, or it's just like call mom, and it's better yet if you say call mom regarding a specific topic. So I think that's where ChatGPT can maybe kind of like, if you can kind of see what your input is or what you're doing. And I'm not sure the current kind of iterations is connected to any task managers yet, but it can kind of say like, hey, maybe it's better to write down this longer version. And then once you do it, it's kind of easier for you to then start engaging with. And the same for projects, right? So as defined as desired outcomes. It's not that it will probably offer you right away the right version, what you actually want, but it might offer you like 5 to 10 options, and then probably maybe some of them is kind of something that suits you, and probably even very likely if you are an amateur GTD or a new GTD, it's the options that it probably offer might be even better than what you have in mind. So I think that's one place where it can go. Another thing which I was thinking, and I'm not sure if this kind of this chat-based things can do, but it's maybe categorizing, or in a sense like organizing. So basically kind of advising to which category to put things. So that's where it might help you as if you're practicing GTD.
So like that sounds like a project. You want that to go on your project list.
Yes.
This is the next action.
Called,
it has
calls list.
Yeah. Yeah, I was thinking also is that some of the things that I've been, it's not going to put, we are all 3 coaches here, getting things done coaches, but and we make our living helping people learning, getting things done. But one thing that I would love to see inside, for example, Microsoft To Do and all the other apps that you can use as task managers, is just you can add a layer of getting things done questions. So you capture something in your inbox. Maybe later then you will need to clarify it. It will then ask you, you have 10 items in your in your inbox. Would you like to clarify them? Or would you like me to put aside some time for you to clarify them? Last time you had 10 things in, it took you 30 minutes to clarify them. And then if you say yes, it will put it in the calendar at a convenient spot. And then when you sit down, it can feed them back to you and ask you the questions. What is it? What does it mean to you? Are you going to do something about this? Yes or no? And even it would be lovely if they can then add the bullshit filter question that I ask myself. I don't know what you think about this, but I think that will be cool. And also that imagine then okay, so that sounds like a project, because that sounds like it's more than one step. Do you want to clarify this into as a project, and then it can ask you questions like, yes, okay, so what would a good project title look for you? What's your desired outcome here? What's your target? And then it can come up with some suggestion. That looks good. So it can help you with the thinking that is required to get good at getting things done. It can make it fairly fast because it's integrated in your system. You don't have me or Lars or Paul by your side when you're doing this, but you have a coach at your side when you work. What do you think about this?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it's kind of like it's more like giving you prompts, which would be ironic because that's how you're kind of work current AI. You give prompts to the AI, but now maybe AI giving prompts to you is like in the forms of questions. I think one thing to keep in mind is you said that it'll do some thinking for you, and I think there we need to kind of delineate or kind of make a distinction exactly of who is doing thinking and what kind of thinking, because GTD is basically kind of knowledge work best practices, which kind of knowledge work means thinking. So you might be tempted to go into the direction that maybe this thing will do all the thinking for me, which is a kind of an interesting question, but I'm kind of skeptical about it, even really advanced ones, right? So basically, I recently did a presentation on our Estonian GTD community about Clarify, and there I talked about how I see the 5 steps of GTD as different forms of thinking. So, these would be, for example, for capturing, it's paying attention. So just what has your attention, you personally. So this is something probably, it's not something that we can give to AI, right? It's like, I'm paying attention for some things right now, which I don't even know why I pay attention to those, right?
No.
So I don't think that the AI can kind of do it for me. Yeah.
No, but I was thinking that maybe the AI could prompt you. Do you have something? Now I see you're not doing something. What has your attention? Capture it.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. It can kind of prompt you. It can kind of help you. But I think it's this what has your attention is still yours. And I think sometimes it's kind of maybe it's been obvious, right? A new email arrived and maybe it says like it's you have forgot to do your tax declaration on time, right? And then maybe ChatGPT can say like, "Hell, do you need help with submitting the tax forms?" Like, well, yes, please, right? But it also might be that learning a little bit or knowing something about psychology is that sometimes we don't even know why something has our attention, right? Because it's very kind of it's subconscious to some sense, right? That the reason for that is subconscious. So in that sense, I don't see how the AI can replace that. And the next stage then is the Clarify, where we need to make decisions. And again, here the AI might give us few options, but what is the best decision for us is still for us to decide, right? Because it kind of needs to take into account everything else that's going on in your world and how you're feeling about the future and how you're feeling about the past and etc. So this is another thing I think where AI probably can aid a little bit, but can't do it for you, right? Because you're making decisions about your life and your work. So and you, because you'll be the one who needs to take responsibility for that. So the AI is kind of like, hey, whatever, I'm gonna suggest a few crazy things, right? But what is the final choice is still yours to make. So and then the third one is kind of organizing. So that's where I think that based on what you're gonna wrote down as your next action, that's where and maybe what's the kind of the general area what you're talking about. Then that's where ChatGPT probably can maybe help the most, like saying like, hey, it sounds like it belongs to this category or this list, right? And then said, yes, let's put it there, right? And But then again, the fourth one, reflecting, I think this is definitely, this is probably might be the most after attention that where AI can't do it for you, because it's kind of, you need to review what have you all said to yes to. Yeah.
What I would love is the functionality in Outlooks and then AI assistant saying that, oh, you haven't done a weekly review the last 2 weeks. Would you like me to schedule one tomorrow? You have 2 meetings. Do you want me to cancel them for you? Politely.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people, but I'm joking, but I'm not, because I meet a lot of people who are scared of saying no to other people. If you meet a yes person, which is probably a lot of people saying I say yes too often, and then it's very difficult to say no to things and set boundaries for yourself. It might it might embolden you to say, okay, but I didn't do that. It was my assistant. So it was good for me.
I'm wondering. I mean, the current version, I think that's probably the ChatGPT 3, and I haven't heard about the 4 one yet. But the 3 is very kind of, as Lars described, or Morten, you described about, it's very pleasing, right? That it says like, hey, Morten wrote those books. Like, oh, he didn't write it. Oh, he translated it. No, he didn't write it. Right? It kind of wants to give you, and it's interesting. That's probably I don't know, philosophical computer science. This question is why that is, right? Because as far as I know, the guys who developed don't know even why it is like this kind of pleasing, AI rather than like factual kind of strict one. So there's might be a danger there. It's like, do you want me to, cancel these meetings to have a weekly review? And it's like, and you might kind of say like, whatever, you're maybe in a little bit bad mood, or you're very hectic or whatever. And you can say like, never mind the weekly review, forget about it, right? And then it actually might forget about it, right? It's not prompting you again, because that's the kind of the danger is when it helps us, right? So based on what kind of like an input, right? What is this input? Is it our best selves? Like, is it our most restricted or our most recent selves, right? So it's like, I'll just make sure that, Morten is never, how to say, agitated because of what I ask, right? But then we know that we need to ask some tough questions sometimes. And that's what we do as coaches as well, right? It's like, you might be writing down the next action and ask AI, is that a good one? And AI say, yes, this is a very good one. Very good, well done, right? While we as a coach was
that is a bad AI.
yeah, exactly. But then like, how does the AI know it's a good AI, right? Because then it needs to kind of have some kind of a standard of compared to, right? Yeah.
I'm not saying that this is the future, but in the Bing app, you have 3 different levels. It can be neutral, accurate, and what's the first one? Do you remember, Lars? The 3 different, like humorous or frivolous or something like this, a little more fantasy. But it is for a GTD system, it can. I see some benefits here. And I've been thinking about, I don't know what you think about this. This is a statement, and I would like to hear what you think about this. And I would like to, Lars, prepare yourself. I will ask you. So, because my statement is that I believe that people are scared of anything that's new, and this is new, and what if you are? I believe the following is that if ChatGPT can make the decision for you on anything, there is no human interaction needed, then you will be replaced by that AI.
Yeah.
Okay.
Agree. Next question. No, but that's exactly it. No, I've been saying that for so many years now too, when we've spoken about AI, because it's come up in speeches primarily, and in some seminars as well, where we've spoken about it. And, as soon as AI can go in and really define the next action for you, and it's the right one, then I'm guessing it can probably do it for you. So then you're out of a job. So there'll be some different areas where you can really, add your value instead, hopefully, because that one is probably taken.
Yeah.
Paul, do you agree?
Yes. So I think it's kind of that's where the kind of the computers and software is developed right already. So it's kind of now I'm trying to come up to the top of the head something that machines do automatically. maybe for example, if you use Pipedrive, right? So it's rather than you kind of sending out the client to email, but once you kind of change the status there, like move it onto the next stage, right? Then the machines do something for you automatically, right? So so that's actually, and that's great, because now we are more productive in that sense. We don't need to do a lot of manual stuff. But yeah, I think if you still need to make the decisions, because it's kind of, at the end of the day, it kind of affects you or affects something that other people are expecting of you to do, right? And you know, if they can replace it with the computer making decisions, that's at least maybe not initially, but pretty soon it will be much cheaper than paying you to do that. Exactly. So I absolutely agree. But I think, yeah, and that's a good question, is what is those things then that, you know, only you can do? And I think that the whole overall GTD process that I've been kind of describing is something that only kind of you can do. And one thing that might leave us kind of, maybe some people say like, oh, you're the guys who are talking about getting things done, right? So I think computers can a lot of things done, right? So it's like, you know, what's the problem, right? You know, like, I'll give it computers to do. And here, I think the kind of the name kind of leads a little bit astray, and we should remember the desired outcome of the overall instituting of the getting things done process, which is to achieve mind like water state, right? So, and this is totally internal, subjective experience, right? So this is why we really are doing getting things done, so we can get like a peaceful mind, right? And that means that we are servicing our own mind rather than making things happen. You know, this is the way we achieve it, making things happen. But still, we need to kind of get things out of our head, decide what it means to us, kind of reflect them on, so we can see all of our life in one big system, and then choose what to do next, right? So, and ChatGPT can only help us in that, or AI in general, but it can't do it for us and kind of clean our minds for us.
I do believe you're absolutely right there. If you are going to just, I think we are nearing the end now. It feels like that, at least for me. Correct me if I'm wrong. But if you, I just want to pose a question for you. What is your best prediction 5 years from now? How would the world have been changed by AI? And we will come back to this in 5 years and listen.
Yeah, that'll be fun. No, we can do this in 6 months, I think, or we could do this as a recurring episode every year from now, because so many things are going on and things are moving really fast. And I think, Paul, you nailed it when it comes to what can it do now and what doesn't it do really well. And what I hope to get to is, well, actually, what I've been seeing over the past few weeks now with my Apple Watch and the notifications that I get from the health app. So it's we're recording this in March. In February, I did some seminars. I went skiing. I was in Greenland, walked a lot when I was in Greenland. So a lot of exercise, a lot of steps. My resting heart rate was a bit higher than normal. Now I'm back in Denmark, not moving as much. Sorry, Apple Watch, I'll get moving. But it gives me that, there was a new trend here. There was something that changed. And I would love to see when AI gets to that level, that it knows you, as we spoke about initially, that it actually knows you, it knows your practices, how many times do I check things off on a random day, and comparing that to how many things I have in my calendar, and then learning that part when we get to that. I would love my own AI, just as I think you described, Morten, as well, to if it could look in my calendar, it could look, you haven't come up with a lot of stuff in your inbox for the past few days. I'm guessing, looking at your calendar and so many things going on, and I see from your screen time that you're actually spending a lot of time in whatever app it might be that you're Facebook, in quotes, LinkedIn, relaxing in. Twitter, yeah, exactly. Yes. That kind of thing. So when we get to that part, that'll be really cool, because again, capturing, but it doesn't know what to capture. Clarify, it can give you ideas, but it doesn't know what the right thing is to do. Maybe it can help you make those lists, but again, reflecting, and in the end, that mind like water scenario, well, that's going to come when you actually sit down and do the work. So it'll be a great assistant, hopefully. And really looking forward to that, when it really knows a lot about a specific area and learns. My concern will be that, will it learn from your bad habits as well? because I can imagine, let's say I could install this OpenAI stuff on my computer. I could really, set up a good GTD partner there. What should I be working on today? And it'll feed me some things. But let's say, in theory, that I had a bad habit of starting too many projects. I'm really good at starting projects. Let's say it learned from that, and then it'll just continually reinforce that habit that I have of creating too many projects, having too many next actions. There's a lot of knowledge still in that we see as coaches as well, and so that'll be interesting to see, I think.
Yeah, but I think that when you get 5 years down the road, that will not be a problem, because some coach will have been in there and telling you that, hey, then the maximum number of active projects should be decreased so that you are making meaningful progress on what's most important for you and not doing this now. So maybe you should put something on someday, or maybe a project on hold. Microsoft, call me, okay?
Yeah. I think it's very obviously, the predictions are very hard to make, especially about the future. I think we can probably you can maybe speculate something happens, but now it's almost impossible to say in what time frame, right? So but I think there's this scenario where it can be really helpful, but then you need to know what you're doing as well, and need to know how you're using it, right? So I can definitely see a way of like, it's probably, maybe we can take people who are otherwise, not so, I don't know, interested in learning GTD or motivated, right? And it's like, and then going to use like this, maybe a virtual AI coach to do that, right? And then, because they are kind of hoping that the kind of the coach does all the work for them, or trusts the first next action option, first project definition that comes out of it, like implicitly, without kind of checking it. This might lead to some people astray, but probably something that will scenario that we will see happening, and then kind of correct it after that, like maybe on a personal level or maybe on a wider level. But yeah, I imagine that one possibility is that we are looking, I mean, as is the GTD teaching community or everybody connected to David Allen Company and etc., that we are looking more ways of teaching GTD, right? So there's a lot of options. Now we have, you can read the book, or you can read the workbook, for example, GTD workbook. Then probably we'll have some version of GTD teaching AI, around here, and but another thing is probably, I read an article, actually, it was so funny. So I read an article, somebody had made a summary of David Allen book, right? And it was a pretty long article. And I read it, and it was kind of funny. I don't know, maybe the AI thing wasn't back in my mind, but there was some strange places in there, which otherwise made kind of the text was okay, but it was like, and I felt like that somebody had made a summary using an AI in ChatGPT, right? Because there was like some sentence where I think verb or something was missing weirdly, etc. So, and then kind of maybe some details were emphasized. So obviously, once we get ChatGPT 20, right, and it's so advanced, so it doesn't make these kind of mistakes. But it still kind of feels that what we might want to get to is more to human interaction, right? So we don't want to interact with the machine. We want to interact with the human, right? And maybe the human is not as precise or knowledgeable about the topic that we are, but at least it's another human.
Yeah, I don't think you actually met a lot of introverts yet.
Well, I
prefer not to talk to people.
I work with I work in the IT sector, and that's sorry to my colleagues, but it's more introverted people than extroverted people. So yeah, but I mean, I think that's one of the way of going. That once the machines gets better and better or something, the first hurrah will be, my machine will do everything for me, right? And the second ouch will be, it's like, well, but it's kind of, it doesn't feel like
stupid. It's stupid.
It's stupid, but it's also like it doesn't maybe have the personality, or it has a weird personality, or I just want to talk to a real person, please. So I think that will kind of these kind of polarize, these opposites will kind of polarize a little bit more, that we'll want to go back to kind of human interaction more.
I'm thinking now that one of the things that I would like to see is that, and I think that AI would be good for, is to help people, assist them in making decisions, meaning that it will prompt them with the correct questions, and coming up with suggestions, and help you make that decision. But the decision making itself must and should still be made by a human, I think, because or else we will all be out of a job very, very quickly. But I hope that, and there are of course a lot of ethical questions that we will find at some point. There will be some ethical discussions on the AI, the use of AI, and we already seen some of that coming. So, okay, anyone who want to grab the words as at the end of our little session today? Do you have some final remarks, Lars?
I think just overall, help. It'll be helpful. I'm sure. And I'm really interested to see what will show up based on what I've played around with, based on what we spoke about now. I'm really, excited about the future of AI. I joked in 2015, my son was baptized, and in my speech to him, the nerd that I am, I joked at one point that he would have an AI colleague, and people laughed. And he's 7 now, so
yeah, he will definitely have an AI colleague.
Clear that he will likely have a few, and he might have a GTD AI to help him clarify some things and get an overview. Like you said, Paul, in the end, it's about that empty head, and that doesn't show up. But hopefully, as the AI progresses, the development progresses, then we'll get some more help in getting to that clear head.
Yeah. I would say that just as a disclaimer, none what was said today was written by ChatGPT. Well, at least for my part.
Yeah. Well, neither from me, so that we have the full disclaimer. So, okay. Thank you so much for being with us, Paul. Very good. Thank you for your time and your energy and your thinking and your thoughts about AI. We will have you back on in a later episode where we will interview you about your journey with getting things done, and we will do some diving into what tools you are using, etc. So stay tuned, people, for that episode. And
thank you
now,
for having me.
You're most welcome. And now I will ask, as always, Lars, please, can you take us out?
Yes, and also this was not written by AI, but perhaps it will be in the future. Who knows? Thanks so much, Paul, for joining us. We always wrap up the episodes with a quick reminder for you to head on over to vitallearning.eu, have a look around. You'll find the different country websites, also to Estonia, and you'll find all of the information about the different offerings that we have relating to getting things done, but also crucial conversations and other methodologies that we are teaching in each of the countries. So have a look there. If you're outside the Nordics plus, then head on over to cruciallearning.com to find your local partners. Then we always have a quick reminder also about the GTD summer camp. It'll be June 17 to 18. We have signed up everyone over there. I'm working to find some more seats. I'm guessing by the time that this episode airs, we will be out of those remaining seats that I was able to find. But send me an email to get on the wait list. I will get back to you.
And Lars at vitallearning.dk.
And gtdsummercamp.com for more information. Exactly.
So, if you like this episode and you would like to support us, please subscribe, like, and hit that notification bell if you're on Facebook. If you are in your podcast listening app, rate us if that's your app has that. Give us a 5-star. We will be happy. If you have some questions, please send them to us at podcast@vitallearning.dk. And until next time, stay safe and stay productive. Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.